what's up, everybody? Hello. I am ChadRStewart. Welcome to the stream. So I probably should change this. Can I change this? But yeah, hi. So wow, uh, they got really bright all of a sudden. Okay. Anyways, so I'm ChadRStewart. I'm a software engineer from Kingston, Jamaica, and I am mostly front end, but I am learning back end engineering, full stack engineering, um, by learning Node.js, and I am also learning TypeScript. So what I have been doing, and what we will continue to do today, is we will continue Andrew Mead's Node.js tutorial that is on Udemy, and we will do so. But what I will do is, instead of writing it in plain old JavaScript, I will write it in TypeScript. And then all the pain points of writing these things in TypeScript um, will kind of help me kind of solidify my TypeScript knowledge. So I don't necessarily learn TypeScript on stream, I learn that offline. And then I bring that knowledge and whatever learnings to this, and it helps. We haven't been writing too much code because I've done a lot of this before and I'm just kind of catching up. But yeah, that's pretty much the idea so far. What else did I want to say? I think that's about it. Let me just get the stream chat. Let me actually, one other thing. So if you're interested in the course or in any stuff that I have a command in chat, stream notes, which talks about everything that we're doing. So I have a link to the Udemy course. I have a link to the GitHub where I'm going to push all the code that I work on. And then I have a link to a notes file that I have on Google Docs, where I just take notes about that on the stream and such. So yeah, that's pretty much it. For people who are watching this on YouTube, this will be in the YouTube description, so you don't have to actually try to kind of parse through all of this madness that you see on screen. You can literally just go to the YouTube description and just click on one or two things, and that will get you to all of this stuff. So with that, let me get the stream chat up with Firefox. I always have to go wrestle with this thing because Chrome is being silly, so now I have to go use Firefox for the stream chat, because the Firefox window actually has the always on top setting on. And yeah, that's pretty much it. One other thing I should mention, it's not all that important, but I like to mention it. So I kind of work in Pomodoros. So originally I worked in 50-minute increments and then rested for 10 minutes. And now I'm just working in traditional Pomodoros, which are 25-minute increments and rest for 5 minutes. And during my rest times, I just kind of get up and stretch. So I just wanted to make everybody aware. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's do this. Let us try not to stare into the void, lest our souls be lost in it. But yeah, let me not do that. Let me close all of this stuff. You know the good thing about having this command? I don't have to go searching for this. Alright, let me actually put this stuff away so that it's not too cluttered. oh my God, it's a sale. It's a flash sale. Where is it? Yes. Give me one more sec. I need to bring up the notes file, which is also here, which is extraordinarily convenient. Oh, yo, let me talk about that. Let me talk about this, because I kind of want to talk about this a little bit. So, Twitch sent a poll or a questionnaire or something. They made something the other day, like not the other day, like 4 years ago. So I used to live in the United States, and when Twitch had sent this, I've been in Jamaica for the last 3.5 years. No, for the last 3 years. For some time. It's been a while. It's been a while. At least 3 years. So when Twitch sent this poll or whatever, they had um they had asked if there should be a category for software development. And more or less everybody said yes. I don't think I ever saw anybody say no, right? Um, poll or questionnaire, whatever thing sat there for years. It was like you could see other people's answers, but it sat there for years, and you had to do all manner of things to sign up. You had to do all manner of things to sign up, and um, and you would get emails whenever somebody added something to the poll. I'm assuming this was to try and encourage people to talk about it, but it had been like years. Nobody cared, right? So everybody left. I said that we should have a software development category, but whatever, right? So for the most part, it just kind of laid dormant, right? Whatever. Um, so every couple of months, somebody would say, "Hey, yeah," and just send a message or something, and I'd see it, and I'd be like, "Whatever," and I just delete it. I just delete the what you call it. I would just delete the message or the email, because it's sending you an email when somebody responds. So I think earlier this week I saw another message, and it said that the poll was closed, and I was just like, okay, cool, whatever. You guys aren't gonna do anything anyway. You guys haven't done anything. Why did you even ask this question 5 years ago? Whatever, boo-hoo. Right? Poll's closed, right? I don't know what what made me want to do this, but I was on Twitch randomly, and I'm just messing around, and all of a sudden, I see the category software and game development, and I was like, what in the hell? So I click on it, and it has clearly pretty picture and everything. It has pretty picture, it has a bunch of viewers, it has a bunch of followers, and I'm sitting here like, what? They made it! Finally, after like 5 years, they made a category. Like, I feel like this is one of the biggest reasons why it was so hard to find software developers on Twitch, because there's just literally no category. And then not only did they add a category, they added tags, which are, in my opinion, aren't that big of a deal, but like they have tags, game development, programming, software development, web development. I'm under web development, but they even have tags for languages. So like, well, you see Unity here, so it's like, so it's the environment, right? I wonder if they have something for Unreal. Yeah, so Unreal Engine. I don't know how long though that's been there for, but I didn't see it when I started, and I started only a couple of weeks ago. Like Java, JavaScript, you can look up Python. I don't know how much other languages that they have. Maybe PHP. No, they don't have PHP. Nobody likes PHP. That's why they don't have it. I would look up Rust, but Rust is actually a game. I actually got confused the other day because I saw people playing Rust, and I was just like, oh man, everybody's developing in Rust, and I was like, wait, Rust is a game. But no, I'm pretty happy about this. It's completely random, but I'm pretty happy about this. You know, like I really feel like this will make the discoverability of people streaming on Twitch, streaming engineering, make it significantly easier for them. You know what I mean? And it's like we have a lot of things. Like, look, I'm following GitHub, and you know, GitHub is on this. Granted, somehow GitHub has 30. Well, I don't want to say somehow, but GitHub has 30 people. Where is it? Where is it in here? I have no idea. Where? Come on, GitHub. Unless it's not streaming anymore. It's probably not streaming anymore. No, it's still. Oh, it's 34. It didn't update. Okay. Where is it? It should be around here. Here it is. Oh, snap, and it's Brian Douglas too. But yeah, like, you know, you you have a category on stream, you have a category on Twitch that is specifically for software engineering. You know what I mean? Like, now it's just easier to find, you know, and like it's easier to kind of advertise that you're streaming some form of development, either development or learning or whatever on Twitch. Like, I feel like this is a pretty big deal. Obviously, it's gonna take some time before we really see if it really changes anything or not. But I'm excited, or I'm happy. It's not that big. Like, it's not like all of a sudden the president said, okay, software engineering, or it's not like something outrageous, but I think it's important to me. You know, I think it's a good thing. You know, only took them 5 years. That's my only goddamn issue. It's just like, why did it take you so long? Anyhow, distractions. I am going to grab some water because I unfortunately do not have a water bottle. So I have to do my best. Actually, let me set this up before I go so I don't have to do that. Let me close this too. But yeah, let's see. Alright, I'm gonna go just grab some water. I'll be right back. Or I'm gonna go drink some water. I'll be right back. Ha. I clicked on the wrong thing. I should just put main up here. You know what? I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do that. It's like stream starting, and then webcam, and then main, and then capture no cam. I made a stretch break thing. This is it. You should be able to hear me still. You can be able to hear me because I can literally look at the audio mixer and see it jumping up and down. But I made this so that, because it was always like weird, I didn't know what to do with when I went on break, and I was just like, screw it, I'll just make a scene. Anyhow, doing that. I need to stop doing that. All right, so I'm gonna move this back here so I can see stream chat whenever people show up, and let's get into it.
In this section, we're going to start to put all of that together and actually create the note-taking application. Now, throughout this section, the focus is going to be on two main topics. The first is the file system, and the second are command line arguments. The file system is going to allow us to store the user's note data, and command line arguments are going to allow us to get input from the user. Now,
Oh, one thing. I did mention that I have a thingamabob here. When is this? Oh, snap. That's tomorrow. Okay, cool. I have a thingamabob here. It's just it's a Pomodoro timer. Rate this app, go away. Cool. It's just a Pomodoro timer. It's on my phone. It kind of shuts my phone off so that it doesn't bother me. But it also kind of gives me alerts. It's a great Pomodoro timer. It's called, what is it called? I don't remember what it's called. I guess I'll talk about it a little bit. It's not that serious. All right, yeah. Yeah, so I'm starting the timer now. So in 25 minutes, I will take a break. And yeah.
Don't worry, later on in the class, you're going to learn how to store data in a real database, and you're going to learn how to get input from the user via forms in the browser. But for now, this is a great way to get started, so let's jump right into the section.
Let's jump right in.
In this video, you're going to learn
one quick note. I know I keep doing this. I'm really sorry for the people it bothers, but I was messing around with this the other day. Like I said, I kind of learned TypeScript on my own in offline, and so the other day I was having I won't say I was having an issue, but one of the things that I was doing was the tutorial was talking about errors, right? Like, oh, if the TS file has errors, you know, or if you do certain things, the TS file has errors, right? So that's pretty much what TypeScript does. Is it kind of induces errors into an application when you're not obeying TypeScript, you know? So like if you have something that you've assigned a type to, and then you assign a variable that is of another type, like say for instance you have a type of number, and then you assign a boolean to a variable that's supposed to be type number, TypeScript will get mad at you, you know. It'll throw chairs. Like, I got hit by a chair the other day, the shit sucked. You know what I mean? So TypeScript will get mad at you, right? But you can have that error, and because and TypeScript will still, if you tell it to compile, it will compile the file with that error, right? Which, to be fair, like it's probably perfectly fine. It is perfectly fine JavaScript 9 times out of 10, but TypeScript is there to put constraints on your ability to develop, so that you don't introduce bugs that are hard to find, that like may show up in runtime, or all manner of things, right? So that's what TypeScript does. But by default, TypeScript does not stop itself from compiling if there's a TypeScript error, right? Or if there's an error of any kind, right? Whether it's JavaScript error or TypeScript error, it will not compile, right? Now there is a section. There is a what is this silly thing called? It's a setting in the TS config file that says no emit on error, and the description is disable emitting files if any type checking errors are reported. I didn't even read that, but what this does is that if you have any form of errors in your TS file, here's an example I will show. This is really important to me because I like this kind of stuff. I really like TypeScript. I really like talking about it. So if you have a problem, right? So here's an error. type string is not assignable to type number. And by the way, there's a bit of a conversation I should have about this as well. But it's not assignable, right? This is supposed to be type number. This is a string. TypeScript's trying to throw chairs at me. You know what I mean? They're painful. Don't get the chair thrown at you, right? So if let me make sure that I'm in the right folder. First script. What do you mean first script? Notes app. Haha. Cool. Npm run TypeScript dash 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 dash. What is the thing that I want? Oh, I just want to pass the name. So where is this located? Playground chalks.ts. So this command will tell TypeScript to compile this file specifically, right? So I tried to compile the file, and then TypeScript's like, you silly puppy, you shouldn't be compiling the file because you have an error right here. Why don't you fix your error before you compile? Nah. Right? So, but if you know, okay, wow. All right, so wait. This might have been from before. Hold on. Let me delete that. Let me permanently delete that. Go away. Stop making me look like an idiot. And then we try it again. Really? Come on. Oh man, are you serious? Stop making me look like an idiot on stream, TypeScript. Let's see. I'm just going to make sure. Yeah, there's supposed to be no omit on error. Alright, you know what? Let me change this to false. I'm going to do something stupid. I'm going to do what I think is incredibly silly. Unless I'm in the wrong playground. No, this should be the right playground. This should be, because there's two playground files. There's one here, but then chalk isn't even here. Okay, cool. Oh man, this is what you have. Now I know the pain of demoing. Now I know the pain of demoing live on what you call it. On like a stage, you know, you have this whole talk prepared, and then you're going to go, I'm going to demo, and then the demo gods are like and your demo falls apart. All right, cool. So yeah, so it pops out a thing here. Cool. We don't like you because you're evil. Right. Right. So let me put this back to true, and it might be that it only does it when I'm compiling the whole project as opposed to compiling that specific file. So what I will do is I will try this. Ha! It is only when you. That's so stupid. Why is? Alright, so that's a new problem I need to solve. Alright, cool. So let's try to compile it. Right, so if you compile the file specifically, at least no emit on error will still pump out the file, right? But if you try to compile the entire application, like if you tell TypeScript to go look for all the TS files, and if you tell TypeScript to go look for all the TS files and convert them to JS files, it won't emit. I don't know if it won't emit anything. I don't know if it will just ignore this file, which we could check that right now. Which is what I will do. We can check that right now. So we can just change the file name. Let me not do that. I'm not app. Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting TypeScript. Right. So we have the error in chalk, but we want to see if any of the other files compile. Go away. So nope, none of the files compile. So I'm assuming what is happening here, and I will delete this. Why did I even do that? Why didn't I just delete it in the first? It's called being stupid. That's what it is. It's called being silly. All right, cool. So now the TypeScript's proper again, and we will tell it to do everything. And yeah, so now you have all of the scripts, and all the types, and all the scripts of types and TypeScript. Yeah. All right. So the point that I was making until I was so rudely interrupted by it not working as I thought it would. Excuse me. Is that this will keep TypeScript from emitting JS files if they find the error in TypeScript files, right? It will completely keep it from emitting. Let me check. I'm hoping that there's a way of stopping emitting for single files as well, because I feel like that's a problem waiting to happen. To be fair, you have to be very explicit about, like, you be very explicit about emitting a particular file and then moving it into this, because apparently output dir doesn't affect that command as well, which I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of. But yeah. Excuse me. But yeah, so no emit on true will keep it from outputting a JS file if you try to compile the entire project. And I like that, I like it. I like if I'm using TypeScript to purposely put constraints on my ability to write code, then I wanted to do that completely, you know what I mean? Like, and obviously, like, because TypeScript is actually very malleable, you define what those constraints are. So, like, for instance, or like for instance, well, output dir, I would say you should always do this because this just keeps your project from being cluttered. But you don't have to do this. You don't have to have no emit if there's an error. You don't have to do that at all. You don't have to have no implicit any's. You don't have to do that at all. This is actually just caught my eye. No null checks. I probably should do like a thing where we go through this entire file. And then it's like, okay, this is stuff that I am not, what you call it. Like, this is another interesting one too. No implicit this. Let me see. What does it say? Enable error reporting when this is given the type any. I don't know enough about this, so I'm gonna leave that alone for now. But yeah. Anyways, all of this is fascinating. I really enjoy this. I'm just kind of trying to get to a point where the TS build file is in a state where I would like it as a developer personally. For right now, I'm working on my own. Obviously, if I were working on a team, we would all have this kind of. We would probably take a session to kind of talk through how we should set up the TS config if we decided that we were going to use TS. in our application. Um, but the mere fact that we even like, I don't know, I like this. I like this. For me personally, it's because I come from what you call it, strictly, statically, I said strictly, a statically typed background, that I appreciate typing and all of those constraints. I actually really enjoy having them. Not to say that I don't like JavaScript because it doesn't have it. I actually like JavaScript a lot. And I like, that these are I like the fact that it's an interpreted language. But, at least putting some constraints to just make sure that you don't introduce bugs because you forgot, or like, those things are really helpful, so you don't even have to think about it. It's just like, oh, I'm going to do this best practice, except i'm being i'm being I'm being, what you call it, pressed for time. And like, best practices work when you have all the time in the world. You know what I mean? Like, they do kind of work when you're time constrained, but it's up to the person, and like how much they're willing to adhere to best practices. Because at least for me, because I know there might be other people's opinions on this. Like, like, you're doing best practice, but like, it may be more time consuming, because it's like, oh, you set up you set up your project this way, or you set up your feature this way, and then somebody's yelling at you to get it out the door, and you're just like, screw it. You know what I mean? And effectively, best practices will never win against a strong enough screw it. You know what I mean? Like, and so if you impose that into the project, like directly into the project, and it's like the project is going to tell you to die in a fire if you don't adhere to best practices, or you don't adhere to specific practices, then I feel like that's easier, because then, like, once an engineer gets to a point where they say screw it, the project is still telling them, hey, you need to, you know you can't do this, or this won't, or it won't work. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's great. Like, just having that anti screw it. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. That's the reason why I like TypeScript, and that's the reason why I like statically typed languages in general, is because, like, there are just certain things that you can't do unless they tend to be fairly opinionated, and there are certain things that you can't do because they're opinionated, and it's just like, you can't blow things up because somebody's yelling at you. You know what I mean? Because you're under time constraints. And, having that peace of mind is useful. I mean, like, having best practices baked directly into your tooling is great. You know what I mean? Because you can have them written down somewhere, but you don't have to think about them, or you don't have to remind yourself to do them, because your tooling is going to yell at you and throw chairs at you, specifically office chairs. Have you ever been hit with an office chair? That shit sucks. All right, I need to start with the office chair, the getting chairs thrown at you joke. But give me 1 second, because I have been ranting. I am parched, and I will go get me some water. Uno momento. As I find the intermission button. have returned. So I forgot that I left the timer on, so I'm just gonna give myself an extra 7 minutes, even though I spent a lot of it ranting, and I consider that ranting work. Don't you judge me. All right, I actually have to turn the so I turn. Okay, stop that. Turn this timer back on, and then when this timer goes off, I will go and turn the other timer on, and yeah.
How to get input from the user into your Node.js application, and this is going to be essential for creating anything meaningful. So think about the Notes application. If I'm the user and
so the reason why cows like program, I'm sorry, I was just like, I don't want to interrupt it. I don't know, funny jokes.
I'm trying to use the Notes app to add a new note as an example, I need to provide some information about that new note, such as a title and a body. The same would be true if I'm trying to use this Notes application to remove a note. I have 15 different notes. I need to provide some information about which note I want to remove. Now, for the moment, we're going to handle getting input from the user via command line arguments. Later on in the class, as we get into Node.js with web servers, you'll learn how to get input into your Node application from a client such as a browser. For now, though, let's go ahead and get started with the fundamentals of getting input into your app with command line arguments. Let's go ahead and get started in the terminal. So down below, I'm going to use clear to clear the terminal output, and all we're going to do is run our script through the node command with one slight modification. So node space app.js, we know exactly what this does. We get our your notes message and our blue success message. Let's go ahead and run that same command. This time, though, after we're done, we're going to type another space followed by a value. So for the moment, let's just use something like our first name. I'll type mine in, Andrew. Now we're going to run the program again, and what do we get? The program still works. We get the exact same output. The only difference is that we've now provided additional information that our program could choose to use to do something dynamic, like print a greeting with that name inside of the message that prints. Now the question is, where exactly do we access those command line arguments? And the answer is that they're on that process global variable we explored in section 2. In section...
All right, it's been clearly more than 2 minutes. What the hell? No, it's not been clearly more than 2 minutes. It's been 10. It's 10 seconds. My God. I have such a horrible perception of time. All right, one second. All right, so 7 minutes. 7 minutes. 7 minutes is all the time I have to play with you. Whisker. Oh man. Yeah.
Section 2, if you remember, we took a little time to illustrate some of the differences between JavaScript in the browser and JavaScript running in Node.js. I talked about how the browser has window and document, and how Node has global and process. Well, on process, there is a property, and that's where we can access all of the command line arguments passed in to our app. Let's start by dumping them to the console. So right here, console.log process. Remember, process is a big object with dozens of different methods and properties. We're looking for one specific one. It's called argv, and that's in all lowercase.
I'm sorry, I saw arg and I was just like, the person who wrote this was a pirate. Process.arg, matey. They should... Oh my God, I could not be on the core team of JavaScript. There'd be so many functions that makes no sense. It would just be, the naming would just make no sense. Like, I would literally come and just like, I'd be gone for like 2 months. It's like, hey Chad, were you working on something? Yeah, I was working really hard on something. So I came up with a feature so that, you know, blah 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 blah. And it's like, wow, that's really interesting. What is it called? Pirates of the Caribbean. That describes the feature in no way, shape, or form. But it's a funny name. Like, Chad, just go away. We're not gonna merge it. just go back into your cave. But it's a funny name. I'm sorry, I don't even know where I get this energy from. It's probably because I actually ate before the stream. Like a not crazy person.
argv stands for argument vector, and in the case of Node.js, it's just an array that contains all of the arguments provided. Right here, I'm going to save app.js, just dumping all of the arguments to the console. Then we're going to rerun our script with Andrew appended. So right here, I'm going to rerun the script, and what do I get? I get my 2 pieces of output that were expected, and I get my 1 new array. This is the value for argv, and what do we have? We have 3 strings inside of there. Now there are 3 strings and 2 are always provided. The first one is the path to the Node.js executable on your machine. Now this is obviously going to be different for each and every user. The second is the path to our app.js file. Once again, this path is also going to be slightly different depending on where exactly the file lives on your machine, but both of them should be paths to those 2 locations. The third is the value that we actually provided. Right here we have the string Andrew, which means that we could take advantage of that in our program to do something meaningful. Let's go ahead and extract the individual value out of that array. So process.argv is the array. We want to grab an item from the array by its index. So I'll use JavaScript's bracket notation to get that done. And we put the index right inside, where 0 is the first one, 1 would be the second one, and 2 would be the third item.
Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm going to comment all of this out, because I kind of want to play around with this and comment that out, right? And I'm going to console.log process.argv because I have a question about if you add, why is it green? I want mine to be green too. Okay, yeah, anyways, this probably has to do with TypeScript. You know what, I'm gonna compile this. TypeScript, I'm gonna compile that, and then I am going to check, and I know that I can change the color, but nope, it's still blue. I am now I am now extremely upsetness. Anyways, what I'm gonna do is I am going to run chalk.js through Node. It's dist Node dist. Sorry, Node. Yeah, this is I'm thinking npm. Node dist playground chalk.js Chad silly goose, because that's what I've been doing today. Cool. Okay, so every time you add an argument, it adds another entry here. So this is what he was talking about earlier. So my my executable for Node, or executables Windows, my version Node for me is here, right? This is the location, which is pretty much the same as his. NVM version. I'm really surprised to see that it's installed in home as opposed to like bin or somewhere. But anyways, this is the location of my file, which is really long because I am a crazy file cabinet person. So like documents, workspace, Node.js complete, Node.js tutorial, Udemy, notes app, dist, play. Good lord. I have file structure or file structure, that path, that file address. And these are all the commands that we passed, separated by spaces. So if you look at them, they're all separated by spaces. So what we could probably do, because even save dev, right? So we can do save dev, and then now we have these that are separators, and we do the same thing. And so we have one command. They're not in two different things, so it's not like, so they're related, but we would write code to recognize that, oh, these are two dashes, and then this is supposed to do something. So this goes to like a specific function, and then maybe even in this function there is another function or some relationship to save to save. So it's not just save dev, but we use the dashes to as a unique character to identify the things, and that's pretty much. So no, we're not gonna restart. Don't restart, damn it. No. All right, so let me go clean this up. All right, so I am going to take a break, even though I spent most of the time being an idiot, which I am perfectly fine with. I've made peace with my silliness. Alright, so I'm gonna start the break now. Actually, I'm gonna switch to this first, so that this is the first time I'm using this. But I'm gonna go take a break now. As the screen is showing, start break. Cool. So for 5 minutes, I will get up. I will try not to fall on my face because I apparently want to fall asleep. I will get up and stretch. So every stream, every time I take a break, I make it a point to talk about taking breaks, um, getting up, stretching, moving about, just making sure I'm moving about. You can't see me moving about. You can only see this screen, but I'm moving about. Like, I'm just kind of, you know, like, body's not meant to sit constantly. So, you want to get up and stretch and move around. Also, it's really great for when you're trying to solve a problem, because if you focus on a problem too long, it just makes it really hard to kind of come up with like really interesting ideas. So it's like you have kind of like two states that your brain can be in. Is like, I think it's diffuse mode and focus mode. I got this from learning how to learn. You can actually find a playlist of the entire course on YouTube, and you can also, it's also a Coursera course, for a free Coursera course. But there's like two states of the brain, focus mode and diffuse mode. And then when you're focused, right? So you're leveraging a part of your brain with particular information. Doggy, there's a part of your brain with particular information that you're accessing and playing around with and doing stuff with, right? Cool beans. And then diffuse mode is kind of like when you're relaxed, you're not focused on anything. And in diffuse mode, your brain takes all the new information that you've gathered, all the new information, and try to make connections to other information in your brain. And so like that's when you hear people who have like the greatest ideas in their shower, because they're not focused on their shower, they're not focused on anything, they're just showering, or whatever, and they have such great ideas, when they're showering or they're going on a walk and stuff like that. So taking a break is actually really good for your problem solving. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how famous this story is, but there's a story, I believe it's of Benjamin Franklin, when he was working on a problem and he was having a hard time solving the problem. What he would do, he would get into a very comfy chair, and then he would get something heavy, like, I don't know what he got specifically, but he would get something heavy and he would hold it in his hand, and he would sit in his comfy chair and he would fall to sleep. Like, he would go to fall to sleep. What would happen is, as he is falling asleep, his hand will open and the thing in his hand will fall out of it eventually and clatter on the floor and wake him up. And when that happens, he'll go get up and he'll go back to working, because he understood the idea of the diffuse mode and the focus mode. There's something very particular about when the brain is on its way to sleep and how it works in the diffuse mode. I don't remember, because like when you fall asleep, your brain commits all of your short-term memory into long-term memory, and it does that conversion process during your sleep, right? So like when people who cannot form long-term memories, they have some issue in their brain that is not allowing them to do that work, right? But yeah, long story short, this whole spiel is me saying take breaks regularly. It also helps with like maintaining a habit, building the process of a habit. You know, like one of the powerful things about Pomodoros is the Pomodoro is not I'm going to try and solve this problem. It's not top down where it's like I need to get to the solution and I'm going to try and solve this problem. It's a bottom up approach where I am going to work for 25 minutes. I may potentially solve the problem in 25 minutes, I may not, but the goal is to work for 25 minutes, right? And so say for instance you have say for instance you have a problem um say for instance you have a problem that you need to work on, and it's a large problem. Instead of thinking about, man, this may take me hours or days or weeks, just be like, I'm going to dedicate 25 minutes to solving this problem, and I'm just going to keep doing that. And it makes it easier to think about that problem, because now, as opposed to it potentially being weeks or months of work, it's now just in 25-minute increments, and the only thing you're worried about is working for 25 minutes. You're not thinking about solving the problem. You're thinking about getting through the 25 minutes, having put work in. And it makes it easier to think about, you know? Anyways, that's my whole spiel about breaks. I will probably talk about it again later. Um, I'm sitting down. Well, I guess that doesn't matter. Because you can see me now. Haha, yes, you can see me. But yeah, like I talk about it all the time. Every time I I go on break. I feel it's really important. It's a habit that I'm trying to adopt. To be fair, I only really do it on stream. I don't really do, mainly because on stream is like the only time. Well, no, that's not true. I only really do it on stream. I try to do it more often, but a lot of the times I'm in this really weird haphazard way of working. So like for instance, like if I'm working on something, but I just need my phone. I'm working on my phone and I'm on my bed. You know what I mean? Like, and even that, like even being on your bed, like you just don't want to. Somebody put it this way, and I thought it was excellent. The problem with the problem is not sitting. The problem with the way the body works, it's not about sitting. Sitting is not the problem. It is being stationary is the problem. Sitting is fine. Like even that person mentioned, even if you moved around in your chair, and to be fair, I don't necessarily believe in that specifically, but if you move around in your chair, that is significantly better than you sitting in one area, in one spot, in one way, right? It's about being in motion, you know. Now, I'm going to be more elaborate about getting up and moving around, but like that's the thing, right? So even if you're like working and you're working in bed, you know, like get up, walk around. It's the same thing. Like if you lay in bed all day, you know, you will get you know your body will adapt to that, and it's not conducive to you being able to go to the store and stuff like that, you know. Like it's I think sitting in bed for long periods of time is easier to see the negative effects because you have things called bed sores. But you know, again, that's my spiel about breaks. Take them often. Breaks are fun. You know, they really help with your problem solving, and they kind of give you time to kind of calm down. You know. Anyhow.
Right here, this is exactly what we want. Now if I were to save this script and rerun things, we wouldn't get this long array with a lot of useless information. We just get our one piece of useful information. We have the string Andrew, and we can now use that to customize our program.
So here, what I want to do, I want to cut this. So we have an array. So how do we do that? Splice, right? Splice the starting point of the array, which would be 1, and then and to the end of the array. So let's do that. Let's recompile this, and then let us run what we had before. Splice did not work. Or maybe it's slice. Maybe it's slice. Maybe slice is what I was thinking. I'll do that instead. Wait, no, the splice did work. The splice did work. I had the wrong starting position. The starting position is 2. Like I chose 1 and it actually took the 1 thing. So yeah. Cool. So TypeScript. Oh wait, let me bring the chat up so I don't forget. So TypeScript. So we compile that, and then we run this again, and yeah. So now we have an array with only our what you call it. We have an array with only the extra stuff that we set, right? So what we could do, like say for instance here, if what we could do, so what, instead of console logging this, instead of console logging this, I will put this in a variable, le variable. Why am I being so silly today? Let me stop being stupid. Arguments. Let's go with that. Stop being stupid. What is this? Invalid use of arguments in strict mode. Let me see. User arguments. I guess arguments might be a what you call it, a keyword that is already in use. So user arguments works. Save that. So we do that, and then what we will do is if user arguments dot length is, let's see, 0 is equal to 0, then return let's see, no arguments. Otherwise, if it has arguments, return the arguments. Return or I guess console.log user arguments, and it will just console log the what you call it, the array. By the way, this is really me being silly. I'm just kind of curious, or not curious, I'm just messing around. Return, why does it not like this? Our return statement can only be within a function body. Really? Okay, I guess that makes sense. Wow, really, is that? Why do I feel like, yeah, wow, just writing foolishness now. I'm just writing stupidity. Shit, then how the hell do we stop it from? We'll just make it a function. Why not? Cool. So we'll just make it a function. So function. Check args. Let's go with that. check args, and then user arguments, and this is an implicit any, so it's going to be upset, I think. Yeah, it's an implicit any, so I believe how we do this. Oh, what's up, Mike? Matthew, why'd I call you? I did this like 2 months ago. I called you Mike, and I called you Mike for a long time. I'm so sorry. What's up, Matthew? I had to mess with TS last God. I've actually, so you know what? I am not going to curse myself because I was just, you know what? I am not going to curse myself even by saying what I thought I was going to, what I thought was going to happen. Yeah, I like TypeScript. I like TypeScript. It's cool. It's really quirky. It's really quirky. There's already things that I don't like. There's already things, or I don't want to say don't like. There are already things that I find strange. Like, why does it work this way? So, I don't know if you were here, but there is a thing in TS config that makes there's a thing that in TS config that says that if you find any error in the TypeScript file for whatever reason, do not output JS files, right? Don't output any JS files whatsoever. Cool beans, right? Except if you actually tell the TypeScript compiler to compile one file, it's just like, what? No emit? I've never seen this no emit before. What the hell are you talking about, no emit on errors? What are you talking about? Oh wow, no I don't. Anyways, but yeah, like that's in my opinion super quirky. But then of course, continuing to be quirky, like if you compile a single file, it also won't obey your output directory settings either, which I feel is really quirky. Like it's like furniture throwing inducing quirky. Like I don't get it. Yeah, it's like, what do we do then, right? You know what I mean? Like, what the hell is the problem? Like, come on. You know what I mean? I am pretty sure there's a setting to correct all of that, but I don't know why that's not on by default. Like, to be fair, there's a bunch of things that I don't see why it's on by default. Like, so I don't see why I feel like when they generate this TS file, so this file is auto-generated, right? Which is why they have so many things commented out. This file is auto-generated, right? I can understand it making sense, especially for a new person, to be like, hey, you know, you just want to use TypeScript, whatever, right? So you just type in TSC and yeah, existential crisis. Yeah. You sit there, you flip out. It's like, why did I become a developer? I should have been a plumber like my father wanted. You sit there, you sit in your chair, rocking back and forth. Yo, why did I do this to myself? Why did I do this to myself? Anyways, like for new people, I understand not having output directories. Like, okay, just compile it and just drop the JS file wherever the TS file was, right? But I feel like this should be mandatory. This should be like something, you know what I mean? Even if it comes commented out, right? So it's easy to miss in the sea of uncommented out things, you know. But you never used it. But when you found some quirks, maybe look up TSDX on GitHub. I will do that. I'm gonna put that in my notes. Look up this on GitHub. I just realized that I did not turn the timer back on. Shit. Oh, what is this killing? Leave me alone. Leave me alone, damn it. I did not turn the timer back on. I will probably give myself like 10 minutes. Dear customer, how is your experience with Flow? It's garbage. Oh my goodness. Um, Give me a second. I'm gonna just put on like, let's call it a 15-minute timer. I don't remember. Whatever. 50 minutes. So in 15 minutes, I will take another break. But yeah, like, I feel like this should be on by default. Um, I personally feel like this should be on by default because, you know, like, if you wanted to mimic a real compiler, like, I feel like this should be on by default. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I feel like this is just bad practice, or not bad practice. This will encourage bad practice, personally. Because it's just like, oh, I have an error it's like, literally, why are you installing TypeScript if you're going to ignore the errors and then spit out a JS file? Like, what's the point? You know what I mean? So I think this should be on by default, you know, but I'm just the crazy Jamaican yelling at the screen. I really like this, no implicit any, but I can definitely see why you would just kind of have this off, to be quite honest with you. You know, even like, I understand, like, I would always have this on personally, but I definitely understand where it's just like, you know, it's not that serious. So, but yeah, no, I'm just learning about the crux of TypeScript right now. So this has an implicit any, and I don't want it to have an implicit any. I want it to take I guess it'd be a string. It'd be string, string of arguments, right? How do you make this multiple, what you call it? I don't remember how to make this multiple things. I'm gonna look that up right now. This is more of a TypeScript stream than it is a Node.js stream, apparently. How to add multiple types to array declaration. I should like have a TypeScript cheat sheet. I'm pretty sure Swix has one. I might look that up right now. Multiple array declaration TypeScript. How to define with multiple types. Thank you. There we go. It's a union. That's what it is. Cool. So can we do that here? So what I will do, just in case, because, well, I guess not really. Like, yeah. So let me try to make a build a union here. String number and okay, yeah. Cool. Just in case, again. Save. Cool beans. Right. So we have a function, check args, and we are literally gonna just shove this in the function. Thank you for the formatting. I really appreciate that. Yeah, we're just gonna shove this in the function. Let me close this because we don't need that. We're gonna shove this in the function, and then so function args, and then we have a return here, and we can just put a return here to be more explicit. Yeah, and so that should do it. So we are going to compile. Boom. We compiled successfully, and then we're going to do this. Why is it? Oh, because I'm not calling the function. LOL. Wait, I'm using function arguments. I hope it's not. I hope it doesn't get upset. All right. Well, we'll find out. Check args. User arguments. I guess it's not going to be upset because of the scope. of things, but I don't know. I'll look into that later. Okay, cool. So compile, and then there's a better way of doing this because there's like a watch mode. I don't want to use it because I don't want to like save whatever madness that I would type. I want to kind of be, okay, I think this is what's going to work, and then compile. It's just that because it's such small changes, you know, it's just extra steps. But I'm just taking that. I mean, if this were a larger project and I was just working on one file, I'd probably use the watch mode. But yeah, cool. And then if I didn't have any arguments, it would output no arguments. Oh crap, it's not outputting, it's returning it, but it's not saying console.log. Not saying no arguments. Save. Wait. Is there, what is the length? Alright, let me, what is the length? Let's console.log the length of user arguments. Let's console.log that. Wait, that's strange. It's supposed to have user arguments. Oh, because I'm not compiling. My bad. Okay, so let's try this again. Yeah, so it's no arguments. Cool. My bad. What if we just return this? Save. And then compile. Npm run that. This. Okay. So it'll return it, but running it in Node. Like if we ran this in, what is this stupid thing called? If we wrote this in the, what is it? The REPL? If we wrote this in the Node REPL, we would actually see the return value. But since we're not going to see the return value here, so we actually actively have to console log it, which is fine. By the way, we're supposed to be working on Node. Okay, cool. So yeah, no arguments. And that was me messing around with this. Oh, cool. Glad I can do that.
Now, in the case of the notes application, we're going to use this first value after the script name to actually determine what action we want to take. This will be known as our command. Am I trying to add a note? Am I trying to read a note or remove a note? What sort of action am I trying to take when running the program? So for example, right here, node space app.js space, I could do something like add, which would let the program know my intention is to add a new note. Right here, I can see that add now prints, and I could use this to run the right code. Let's see.
So I wonder why why dash became the way we define flags. I wonder why that is. For command line, that's something. You know what? Why not? I'm gonna put that in my notes too. All these things that I need to research. Why did dash or hyphen become the separ the way we declare keys in command or commands, whatever, keys in command line programs. Random.
See what that would look like. So up above, I'm going to remove all of the code except for our two require calls. Those are going to stay as we'll continue to use them. And all we're going to do for the moment is create a variable called command. And and we're going to get its value from what we just printed to the console. That's process.argv, grabbing the third item by index. Now we could actually use an if statement to conditionally run some code. If the user who's running the app try to add a note. Right here, condition equality note for the code actually ran. I'll still run. What do I get? I get adding note printing, which is fantastic. Now we could also run this with a different command. For example, node space app.js space. Let's go ahead and use something like remove to remove a note. Actually do it by setting up an else string, right all of the code, removing note as a temporary, and there we go.
I think did we end up writing a switch statement for this? No. How did come? Oh, yargs. Okay, yargs did that. And then we have a giant. Oh, well, it's not giant, but we had objects that did this, and I'm really salty because there are no ending things here. And I'm really upset with myself. But yeah, so later on in the video we will come to yargs. Yargs are a package that helps you parse input data in command line applications. So a lot of command line applications, I believe at the very least written in Node, actually have yargs in them. So I think TypeScript actually has it as well. So let me check. I believe so. By the way, I only noticed this recently. He talks about it. It's a pretty famous package, but I didn't realize how widely used it was. Where's npm? Yeah, I didn't realize how widely used it was. I believe yargs is here somewhere. There it is. Well, no, that's not fair. All right, let me go look for another TypeScript. Let me go look for another TypeScript because we're using yargs specifically. So let's look up another TypeScript. So in a sandbox, no, where's the sandbox? Here it is. So this will work. And then node modules, TypeScript. Damn. Man. Stop talking. Alright. I clearly don't know what I'm talking about. But oh well, TypeScript's not written. I don't know what TypeScript's written in. What is TypeScript written? It's probably written in JavaScript. I don't know what am I talking about? Anyhow, yargs is a famous package. If you say otherwise, I'm just gonna call you. I'm just gonna say you're silly. Until you prove me wrong, and then I'm gonna go home and cry.
We now support that second command.
It took like 2 hours to go through a 10-minute video.
Allowing users a way to add notes and to remove notes. From here, let's figure out how to get even more information for each command. So knowing that the user is trying to add or remove a note is a good start. But if someone is trying to add a note, I need the note's title and I need the body. If someone is trying to remove a note, I need the title as an example of the note that should be removed. So how are we going to get that done? Well, once again, we're going to start with the command we've been using throughout this section. So right here, node app.js add. Then we're going to provide command line options like you've probably seen with other command line tools. So hyphen title could be where we set the title. I'll set that equal to inside of double quotes the
options. I call it keys. Oh, we declare options. Let's go with that.
Following, this is my title. I could run the program, and now we're passing in even more information. It might not look like it, but if we were to dump argv to the console, once again, we would see it. Console.log, process.argv, just dumping the entire array. I'll rerun the program exactly as we had it with title set up, and now I'm getting as the third argument add, which we already had, and as the fourth one, I am getting title. Now, one thing you'll notice here is that it's not something that gets parsed for us. We have the exact text typed out over here, as we do here, minus the double quotes. We need to now add some code to manually.
Yeah, so that's the issue. So without yargs, you would have to figure out how to get you'd have to figure out how to get the command away from get the command out of the hyphens and then get like the text away from it. Yeah. One time, some of my wife's family broke out easels and paints and tried to follow our Bob Ross. It took like 4 hours. That sounds about right. Oh man, that sounds just about right. Oh, I'm so tired. Why am I so tired? I'm always tired. I drank a lot of soda. That's why I'm so tired. Cool. Now I'm gonna do that. Alright, so I am going to, because I can turn the timer off. Please tell me that this is, damn it. No, I don't want to do that. How do I skip this? No, I don't want that. Nope, I don't want to do that either. Is there a way of skipping this? Damn it, do I have to? Let's see. Tutorial. Okay. To skip. Swipe left or right to skip the current session. Okay, so. Cool. All right, cool. So the timer for the break is running. Man, I love this application. Actually, sorry. Let's restart. Nope. Damn it. Come on. All right. All right. So let's finish this.
Parse that. We have to figure out, for example, if title was actually provided. If we do see that title was provided, we have to get the value. Now, sure, we could go ahead and write all of the code necessary to parse those arguments. It would result in maybe 12 of the most uninteresting videos in this course, where we didn't talk about Node.js at all, but just talked about string parsing. Now, we're not going to do that, and for a couple very good reasons. One, we would have to write, test, and maintain all of this code, and that code doesn't do anything unique. Parsing command line arguments is not unique to our application, so it would be best to look for an NPM package that can take care of that for us, so we can get back to the task of writing what does make our application interesting, which is in this case its ability to manage your notes. So in the next video, we're going to look at how we can use a tool to parse process.argv, making it much easier to set up our arguments for our Node.js applications. I'm excited to get to that, and that video will include a challenge, so let's go ahead and jump right in. In the last...
Alright, so where am I in this? I should actually almost be done. Okay, cool. So the last thing I did was storing data with JSON. Cool beans. Alright, so I'm gonna take a break. It'll be like a full-on intermission break, not a stretch break. So I'll set the timer as well, and then obviously if I come back before the timer goes off, then I'll just go back to doing the stretch break. But yeah, give me 1 minute. I will be right back. Wait, hold on. Let me turn on the timer. And then let's skip the session. And then yeah, I'll be right back. All right, so that took significantly less time than I thought it would. Um, but stretching, yes, we are stretching, really stretching. What is wrong with me today? But yeah, so that took less time than I thought it was. So I'm just going to spend, well, I guess not that. Well, it's like 2 minutes. I'm going to spend the rest of the time standing and just moving about Streamlabs. Uh, Thanks, Hosa, for following. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. Feel free to talk in the chat. You know, feel free to say what's up. You know. Wait, Hosa, why do I feel like I know that name? Well, I saw that in a friend's stream last night. But either way, right. So, excuse me. What is it that I wanted to say? Yeah, like, you know, just moving about, stuff like that. So let me talk about TypeScript a little bit. I like TypeScript. I really enjoy it. It has some weird things that I disagree with. I'm also going to be completely transparent, and as like I'm still fairly young in TypeScript, so there might be a good reason for it, but I still disagree with it nonetheless. I'm going to be opinionated to the day I die. You know, when you're Jamaican, you sign a contract that says that you have to be opinionated on everything. You know, man, this oxygen stuff sucks, man. We need to get something better than oxygen. But right. All right, so there's some things about TypeScript that I'm not really a big fan of. Or I don't want to say I'm not a big fan of, because I don't think I have super strong opinions. Like, more like, this is quirky. Like, it's whatever, but it's quirky. You know what I mean? And you know, I had like things like, for instance, the no emit on error. Like I didn't even know that was a thing. I was just like, oh, the compiler will automatically yell at me if I try to compile things with errors, because that's always been my experience, right? And lo and behold, TypeScript's like, nah, it's cool. And I was just like, what? No, what the hell are you talking about? You're a compiler. You know what I mean? So, um, yeah, so like no emit on errors is like a big thing. Like, but again, I don't know why these decisions were made. You know, like TypeScript is old enough, you know, to be like, those decisions were made with very specifically. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I don't know. I enjoy it though. I like TypeScript. TypeScript's cool. It's cool beans. There's lots of beans and it's cool. There's beans everywhere. Beans on cornbread. Alright, I need to stop. Alright, so I am now sitting down. And I am now pressing the main. So now you can see me. Hi. Why am I not? It's a camera. There's a camera. There's a camera. I have a white light there. It's funny because when people interview, or yeah, when people are interviewing or they're doing a talk, they say they have an issue with staring at the camera, which I completely agree can be potentially an issue. So what some people have done is put googly eyes by their camera so that they actually can look into the eyes of something, right? But I find that just having the light there, and I mean, I guess, you know what, I don't want to, because this is potentially getting into like, why do you have this problem, right? As opposed to, look, it's a clever solution. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just like, for me, like looking at the light works perfectly fine. Even though I'm not looking directly at the camera, I'm looking close enough to the camera so that it feels like I'm looking at the audience, you know? It's just like, you just need a point to focus on, but googly eyes works, you know? So it doesn't matter. Like for instance, for my, you know what? That has nothing to do with programming. That has nothing to do with programming. Why am I seeing this stuff? Again, like the solution's a great solution. you know, just because I don't need it doesn't mean it's not a good solution. Anyways.
This video, you learned how to get input from the user via command line arguments in your Node.js application.
Oh, let me start the timer this time.
We saw that all of the arguments provided to Node are passed through into our application, and we can access them via process.argv. Now, as we were exploring this, we also saw that we don't necessarily get these values in the most useful way possible.
You know what argv is? It's 5 pirates yelling. It's 5 pirates going arg. argv.
Node doesn't provide any argument parsing. It's a very bare bones utility, allowing us to just access the raw arguments. So when I provided this title option with the value things to buy, it wasn't parsed in a way that's particularly useful. I would need to write some code to extract the key and the value from this string, something we're not going to do because most Node.js applications use command line arguments in some way. And there are a ton of great NPM packages out there that are going to make it really easy to set up our commands and options as we want. And in this video, we're going to explore one of them called yargs. That is YARGS. Let's head over to the browser. Here I have my one tab on npmjs.com. I'm going to go ahead and search for that yargs package. And right here, it is the first one. Yargs is a pirate-themed application, which is where the Y in args comes from. And it is a fantastic utility with about 21 million weekly downloads. So it is a widely used, well-tested tool that we can easily integrate into our application. Now, you might be saying, hey, I thought this was a Node course, and it seems like we're using a lot of packages. We already saw that Node doesn't provide a ton of argument parsing. And at this point, that is intentional. Node has left it up to the community to create various packages, each with their own way to solve the parsing problem. You can then go out and pick the package right for you, and yargs is one of my favorite, and it happens to also be one of the most popular. So let's go ahead and install it into our project so we can make use of it. From the notes app directory, npm install, I'll be using I, which is the same thing, it is an alias. Then the module name yargs, and the latest version, that is at 12.0.2.
Oh,
so we're gonna go.
I need to show the chat so that I can actually see it. There you go.
Go ahead and install this into our application, then we'll be able to use it to better parse our command line arguments.
So I have all of this installed, which includes the specific version, because he's pretty much like, oh, use a specific version of the application so that like there aren't any unforeseen errors. So yeah, I have this specific version installed.
All right, everything was installed down below, and I'm just going to take a quick moment to clear the terminal output. Now,
I'm going to go make sure that I'm not talking crap. Yep, it's the specific version of yargs.
Let's take advantage of this in app.js instead of manually looking at process.argv on our own. The first thing we have to do is require it, and once again, I like to go core modules first. We have none, then npm packages, then our own files. So right here, I'm going to load in another npm package alongside of chalk. We're going to call this variable yargs, and we are going to get it from the return value of using require to load in the yargs library. Now we can actually take advantage of it, and that process is super easy. What I'd like to do is do a little comparing and contrasting. So to keep the output simple, I'm going to remove this command variable for the moment, and I'm going to remove our if conditions down below. And all we're going to do is print out process.argv. Then down below that, we're also going to log out something from yargs. It's yargs.argv. So this is the version of process.argv that yargs has parsed. Now we can see exactly how the two are going to differ. So let's go ahead and start by running our script. Node space app.js, and we're going to run it with nothing additional. What do we get? We get a lot of information for the first version, the one that Node provides, and yargs provides almost nothing. Here we have an object with 2 properties. We have an underscore property, which will get populated with various arguments in a little bit once we actually add them, and we have $0, which is the name of the file that we executed. So let's go ahead and actually add some arguments into the mix and see how yargs is going to help us.
So what is $0 0? Is that the fact that the program exited without any errors? I'm really curious about that. I've already taken up enough of the stream time answering questions that has nothing to do with Node.js. So. Wait, this is a learning stream. What the hell? I'm gonna go do. Haha! You can't tell me what to do, Chad. Yargs. Yargs. Yarg? For those who... Actually, it's not Yarg, it's Yarp. But for those who watched Hot Fuzz, this dude just walking around, Yarp! Oh, man. I hope they talk about that object. Let's see examples. Let's see. Slice. Require. What is this? With yards, the options are just a hash. Okay, that is not the answer. Though that's definitely not the droids I'm looking for. What is this? That's weird. Alright, well, what's the basics? Yards API. Maybe we'll talk about the object that it's. You know, let's just require. I'm just gonna keep it moving.
Right here, I'm going to set up the add command, and I'm also going to set up that option once again. So -- title equals, inside of double quotes, a name for some note. Let's use things to buy. Maybe it's some sort of grocery list. And if I go ahead and run this, now we're really going to start to see some of the advantages. So the first array.
So we have add as a command, and then it has title. What is that $0? Like, I was hoping that it was like the number of commands sent, but no, I'm really, let's see, where is it? $0 in yards, Jesus. Documentation. Maybe I'll show it. $0. The script name is available at argv.$0. Okay, argv. The script name or node command is available at. Is that the location? That's the location of it. Of the command. So somehow yards is putting the command in that location and pulling it from there. That's interesting. Or is it just like the way the process is? I don't know. That's weird. Is there any other points that? Test.js. So this would be test.js. Where's test.js? I don't know. I'm going to ignore it for now.
From Node itself contains what we've already seen before. We have information that's not too useful, we have our command, and we have some unparsed option. Down below, what yards provides us is much more useful. Our command shows up in the underscore property right here, add, and we have an actual title property on this object that contains the string value.
So that's what it is. It is so this is $0 is the title of a property of args, of argv, and this is the title of this is the location of the application that's using yards. That's what it is.
Yards did all the heavy lifting of parsing our options and putting them on this object so they're easy to access. I could access the title property to do something with it, like create a new note and save it to our data store. Now, this is the most bare bones way to use yards since we haven't configured it to do anything special. By default, though, we actually get some pretty useful behavior. To explore that, let's go to the terminal down below and clear the terminal output. We're going to run our script, so node space app.js. and we're going to do that with the help option, something we haven't done anything to create. It actually comes by default with yargs, and it displays some helpful information about what's going on with our little app. Now, this first part, this is still coming from our console.log on line 5, which we can go ahead and delete. It is the second part we're interested in. This is what's coming from yargs itself. So it's printing a little cheat sheet about how to use our tool. It's showing two options that are available: help, which shows the help, that's what we're seeing right here, and --version, which shows the version number of the tool we're using. That means we can actually run node app.js with that version option, and what do I get? I get 1.0.0. So by default, yargs starts you off on that version, and you can always customize it to fit your needs. Let's go ahead and do that. Up above, I'll leave a little comment, customize yargs version, and we do this by accessing yargs and calling the version method. This takes
Do I have that? Yeah. So I have that.
to it a string as its one and only argument, and we provide our new version number. So maybe I'm ready to move on to 1.1.0 as an example. Now, if we were to save the program and to rerun that version command, what do we get? We get our new version number showing up. So yargs comes with a ton of useful parsing and features on its own, but it can be configured to do pretty much anything you want, and that's what we're going to start to get into. Down below, I'm going to clear the output, and we're going to focus on setting up yargs to work with the commands we need it to work with. For example, in the notes application, people should be able to add notes, remove notes, read individual notes, and list out all their notes. These are 4 distinct commands we want to set up and customize. I want to display help options for each. I want options so I can pass in data, all sorts of things, and yargs supports all of that. Let's start by working through one command together, the add command. So right here, create, add.
Right, so yeah, so I mean,
The command.
talk about it.
The first thing we have to write is as the value. From there, we can also add a description to describe exactly what this does. That happens via the describe property. This is also a string value, and I can have something like add a new note as a way to describe exactly what this command is supposed to do. Now, we can also set up a third property called handler. That's the code that's actually going to run when someone uses the add command. So down below, comma, the next property, handler. This needs to be set up with a function value, and that function gets executed if the command ever gets used. So right here, a brand new function. And for the moment, we're going to have a little placeholder console.log call, and we'll just say something like adding a new note. Excellent. Now let's go ahead and see how all of this is going to change our application by running it from the command line. To start, let's go ahead and use that help option. Right here, I'm going to run the file using the help option like we did previously, and we're going to notice that because we've registered a new command, we have a new commands section. In app.js, I have access to the add command, which adds a new note. Now let's go ahead and actually use it. So node app.js add, and when we run it, what do we get? We get our little message printing to the screen, adding a new note is showing up. So this proves that our handler is indeed running when someone runs our application trying to perform that add command, which is a fantastic step in the right direction. Now let's go ahead and add a second command into the mix. Down below, we're going to add a remove command. So create remove command. And once again, we are going to use yargs.command to set that up right here, passing in the options object. And we'll configure the put it contact. We're going to get ended up listed in our help, the help remove, node app.js remove. And when I do, I can see that removing the note is printing, which is great. That is exactly what we were hoping for. Need paste in some challenge comments. There are 3 steps for getting this one done. The big picture goal: add 2 new commands, and you can do that right here below the remove command. Step 1, you're going to set up the list command, and for now, you can just print a placeholder message saying something like listing out all the notes. You want to use list.
Yeah, so it's doing all of this, and then so I guess the only one that we've kind of done anything with is add
as the name, and then you can pick a description that is description command and ensure it. So we'll create list and we'll state anything, just placeholder all command in that command. No one log. Time to move on to actually. Let's go ahead and do just that down below. Node app.js. Excellent. JS row. We now encode when the command is actually used. In the next video, we're going to wrap up our discussion of command line arguments by exploring how we can provide additional options for each of these commands. I'm excited to get to that, so let's go ahead and jump right into the next one. In this video, we're going to wrap up our discussion of command line arguments by setting up yargs to support some options for each of our commands. For example, the add command needs the title and body of the note you're adding. The remove command needs the title of the note you're trying to remove. And last up, our read command, it needs the title of the note you're trying to read. So we have to figure out how to configure options for those 3 commands, and the answer is that we set up another property on the configuration object we pass to command. This property, which I'm going to add right here after describe, is called builder. Builder's value is an object, and on that object, we can define all of the options we want this given command to support. Now in the case of add, once again, there's 2, title and body. Let's start with title. To define a new option, we set it up as a property on the builder object. So if I wanted to
describe demand option true,
be able to provide a title when I run the add command from the terminal, I can set up title right here in builder. Now, the value for this property is an object, and in here, we can customize how that option works. And the first thing we're going to do is set up the describe property, just like we did for our command up above. Describe for an option allows us to describe that option, and right here, I'm just going to say note title. Perfect. Down below our arguments. Let's go ahead and print that to the terminal so we can see what we get. Right here, after our string, I'm going to pass a second argument to console.log, and the second argument is just going to be the argv variable. Now we can save things and run our application from down below. What we're going to do is run node app.js add. We are going to provide that title option, and I'll set it.
You're a bot. You're a bot, you evil bot person, you. That's not even in the string. Thanks for the follow, bot. You bot person, you bot. Oh my god, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. Come on. Stop following bots. Oh god. Oh, please don't fill my thing with follows. Oh shit. Wait, no, that's a string. Oh, that scared the hell out of me.
Equal to something like shopping list. I'm going to run the command, and what do I get? Right here, we have our console.log, printing, adding a new note, followed by...
Dang, bots. You evil robots. That's why Neo should have destroyed all of you.
argv from inside of the handler. And right here we have the title property with shopping list, which means we have access to argv.title, which we can now use to actually define a note. Now, one thing to point out is that these are not required, which means that I could run the command without title. Node app.js add. If I do that, what do I get? Things still seem to work, even though no title was provided. Now it's up to us as the developers to decide whether or not a given option should be required. If it's not, you can leave the configuration as is. If you want it to be required, you can set that up as well. Right here, we have the demand option property. Now let's try to do that, required arguments, and it lists them out. In this case, we are missing title. Right here, it even shows the available options for the add command, and we can see that we have title as the last one, and it is indeed shown as required. So let's see, will you previously what we want. I want to make sure that the argv.title property is always a string. We can go ahead and enforce that by setting up another property on our little options object configuration. Right here, type always going to have a string value for title, okay. But if I rerun that previous command, we can see that at least we have a string value for title instead of a Boolean, which is a great step in the right direction. And obviously, if I provided a string equals something like my title, that's going to show up right there, which is indeed ideal. So now we have this title option, we have a description for it, we've said that it needs to be provided, and we've called that alert. It's important to note that this is actually doing something. If we were to comment this line out and save the program, it wouldn't work as expected. If I rerun the exact same command, which worked a few moments ago, we can see we're not getting any output. So how exactly is printing the args making all of this work? Well, when we access the argv property on yargs knows to actually do its thing and parse those arguments. Now, if we don't need to access it, that can be less than ideal, so there's another way to get that done. It is yargs.parse. It doesn't take any arguments, and we can just call it like that. If we save the program and we rerun the command, now things are working once again, and we're seeing our arguments printed just a single time. So yargs parse actually goes through the process of parsing the arguments with all of the configuration details you've provided with your yargs command calls up above. It's almost challenge time, but before we get there, we are going to print the title explicitly down below as opposed to printing the entire object. So I'll remove our console.log and replace it with a new one. And I'm going to print two things. First up, I'm going to print a little title for the title, so I'll say something value, which is up with the title thing. So now let's talk some challenge comments right here, describing what I'd like you to do. It is going to be your goal.
Add an option to yards. Set up a body option for the add command. Configure a description. Make it required and for... Oh yeah, I did that. I did that already. So... I did that here, right? So note body, it's required, and then I output it and I put a new line there.
To add a new option to yargs, and that's going to be to body value. What we need to do is edit from, which means we need to add a new property onto the builder. And add is where we get a string. Use true or false. So I'm going to add a new space. The body property comes from the same output. Just a new add. It'll like by. And I'm
I don't think I need a new line. I guess I added a new line here so that it would neatly sit on one line here, as opposed to, because backticks, you can like literally type as if it's just regular text and it will just show up the exact way that it showed up. But yeah, that's fine.
Not going to provide a body, and that's intentional. When I do this, I'm expecting it to fail, and it does. Right.
All right, so this application, even though it's written in TypeScript, should be in, I believe it's compiled. So, I mean, I've been writing compile. All right, cool. So what we will do is node dist app.js, and then add, let's see, how do we do this? Title equals test, and then body equals I have no body. You have to make sure that lol is there. Cool. Yeah, and it's displaying exactly how I thought it would. So yep. So even though it's on one line, and we can just do this, you know, like we can do this. Let's move this here. I'm not sure how it's gonna feel about the spaces. I don't use backticks that much, or I don't use backticks for this option. So and then we will compile. We will try to do this. Yeah, so it's using the spaces, because yeah, it's using the spaces. So like, not sure exactly how you'd probably, if you wanted to use backticks. If you wanted to use backticks, you probably have to like write something like, let me save this and compile it again, so that we have the correct one. So if you want to use backticks, you probably have to like do something like blarg equals, or let blarg equals, this, and then start it from here. So, and then so you can do blah de blah de blah, blah de blah de blah de blah. I'd have to look into formatting. Like I'm not necessarily sure how to use backticks to, because like I said, you can, like, it literally kind of reads it as a, it reads it as like as if it were displayed directly on the screen. So it's hard for me to describe it, but it reads it directly as if it's displayed directly on the screen. So like a lot of the times when you're writing text, you know, you would do the same thing. You would do the same thing with text, but then you have to do like add a bunch of new lines and stuff like that. Whereas with backticks, you don't have to do that. But like I said, I just don't know how to get the formatting well so that it displays properly in wherever you want to display it. But it also is easy for a developer to read if they want to edit it. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right here, missing a required argument body. I can see both title and body showing up, both required, which is fantastic. The next thing we're going to do is rerun the exact same command, but this time we are going to provide a body. So after a space, hyphen hyphen body equals, right here inside of double quotes, these are what I need to buy, period. Now if we go ahead and run this command, what do we see? We see our two messages. I have the title console.log right here printing buy, that comes from line 33, and I have body. These are the things I need to buy coming from line 34. So there we go. That is it for the challenge. Our add command now takes in all of the options necessary for it to actually how we're going to save our data, how we're going to save our notes is the topic of the very next video. So let's go ahead and jump right in to the
Cool. So
in this video, we're going to talk about how
all right, let me go all the way back so that all right. So this is going to alarm in 20 seconds. This is the video that I stopped on. I believe I went through this video, but I am not sure. I do have a thing here, right here. Here it is, one JSON .ts. And then we're just gonna close. Okay, cool. But yeah, I do have something here, so I'm going to assume that I went through this video and then I just didn't get to the other video. Right, like adding a node, removing a node. Ooh, arrow functions, cool. But yeah. Wait, we're using ES6? I might have to make that change. All right, cool. I'll make that change right now. If we're gonna be using ES6. Yeah. Actually, is there anything? Let me go make sure. Oh yeah, we have arrow functions. Why? Whatever. I'm not too sure about this setting here. I need to go look into it more. Target ES. I guess it compiles down to ES5. Let's see. Because app has arrow functions, but does app.js. App.ts has arrow functions, but does app.js. No, it does not have arrow functions. So it compiles down to ES5. I don't know. I'll ask questions. I mean, a lot of this is me just learning how to configure TypeScript and use the compiler. Because I feel like a lot of the work, or not use the compiler, sorry, TypeScript, and then like best practices for using TypeScript. But yeah, I will leave it for now. If anything, I can change it to ES6 just to see if we end up having problems, I can just change it to ES6 and compile it to ES6. But yeah, it'll be a learning experience. Anyhow, let me go change this. Thank you everybody for watching. So we've come to the end of the stream, and we I want to say we accomplished a lot, but not really. Well, I mean, we learned a lot today, and we talked about a lot of stuff that mostly involved TypeScript, but we talked about a lot of stuff today. So what did I wanted to say? So next stream we should finish that one thing that I was doing. The one video, the last video that I finished. So we should go through that, and then we will actually start writing code, because now all the videos will be completely new to me, and then you will see me really wrestle with the TypeScript compiler, because then I'm gonna have to figure out how to write code for TypeScript. What else did I want to say? I don't think I have anything else to say. Well, shout outs to Matthew for popping into the stream for a bit. I hadn't seen him in a while. Thanks for popping into the stream, Matt. What else do I want to say? Right, so I have a YouTube channel, ChadRStewart. You can search on YouTube for it. You can, all the VODs for this this stream goes there, and I haven't. Yeah, all the VODs for the stream goes there, and I'll eventually start putting up other stuff on the YouTube channel as well. But I'd really appreciate a follow there on YouTube. What else? Crime never wins when Batman begins. No, but um, what else? I think that's about it, really. Hope you enjoyed the stream. I enjoyed going through it. Um, by next stream, I think next stream will be a lot more interesting because I'll actually be writing more code than just kind of watching the video passively and then kind of asking questions. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and you have a good one. Later.